You know exactly what's happening. If you feel lost, this relationship is not healthy. True love does not generate confusion. The lack of clarity and the feeling of disorientation are signs that something is wrong. This person promises, disappears, justifies, doesn't commit. And you wait, analyze, adapt, stay. This is not about love. It is a pattern that repeats, a cycle that traps you. It is easy to confuse genuine longing with emotional confusion. You convince yourself that doubt is part of love, but in reality, this only reveals the lack of sincerity. The truth is that love should be a refuge, not a labyrinth. Confusion is not a demonstration of affection, it is a form of control. When someone truly loves, they do not leave you in doubt about their feelings. When someone cares, their presence is constant and communication is clear. You call this love because you are afraid to face reality. The lack of clarity is not a passing phase. It is the structure of the relationship that does not support a healthy bond. There is a difference between longing and the desire to be loved. Longing is a pure feeling, while confusion is a burden. This cycle will not change as long as you continue to accept what you do not deserve. Unfulfilled promises do not mean love, they mean disinterest. The structure of this relationship is clear. You adapt to the other's expectations, and that is not love. A choice needs to be made. Staying in this state of uncertainty is an active decision. What do you really seek? What brings you peace? True love is one that elevates you, that brings you security. If this is not present, it's time to reassess. Nothing changes in a relationship that is based on confusion. Love should be simple. If you need to interpret actions and words, this is already a sign. You are not here to be a puzzle. You need to cut out what does not serve your peace. If this person loves you, they do not confuse you. Love should not be a mental battlefield. The continuity of this pattern depends on you. Lack of clarity is unacceptable. You deserve more than this. Nothing changes without a rupture. The reality has already been presented, and now the decision is in your hands. You know that uncertainty is not a sign of love. This relationship does not offer the security you deserve. What you have been experiencing is a dance of empty promises and inconsistent actions. If the person does not commit, that is not love. It is manipulation. This person shows up and disappears whenever convenient for them. You, on the other hand, remain in expectation, creating justifications for behaviors that should not be accepted. This dynamic is not healthy. It is a cycle of emotional exhaustion that keeps you trapped in a place of constant doubt. Time will not resolve this situation. Waiting for changes only prolongs the suffering. The truth is that the lack of commitment is a choice. As long as you accept this inconsistency, nothing changes. The relationship feeds on your willingness to stay. Looking at the facts is essential. You deserve a relationship where communication is direct and honest. If you need to decipher messages, that shows that something is wrong. Clarity should not be an exception. It should be the norm. When someone truly cares, there is no room for misunderstandings. The justifications for this person's behavior are not valid reasons. They are merely attempts to mask the lack of sincerity. You might feel confused because you want to see what does not exist, a genuine love. However, this is not love. It is your need for connection speaking louder than the reality presented. Each time you accept less than you deserve, you are feeding this dysfunctional dynamic. This relationship is not a reflection of your worth. True love is non-negotiable. If you need to struggle to maintain the bond, that should be enough to understand that something is wrong. You might wonder if you're being too demanding, but the truth is that your standards are legitimate. It's not about being harsh, it's about being clear about what you want and need. If you don't set your boundaries, the other person will continue to cross them. Unfulfilled promises are a clear sign that the person is not committed. Every time you allow this to happen, you are telling yourself that this is acceptable. It is not. You are not here to be someone who adapts to low standards. Love should be a mutual choice, where both are willing to invest in each other. When the signs are ignored, you put yourself in a vulnerable position. Vulnerability is part of love, but not when it is manipulated. You should be able to open up without fear of being hurt. If you constantly feel defensive, this relationship is not safe. Staying in uncertain situations is a decision you make every day. Every day that you accept this lack of clarity is a day you distance yourself from your own happiness. The choice to stay is yours. And this choice must be continually re-evaluated. What truly brings peace to your life? What is essential for your happiness? You know that love should not be a game. If you are playing your worth on the table, you have already lost. You shouldn't have to compete for attention, affection, or validation. If someone truly cares, it manifests in a clear and consistent way. Cutting ties with what does not serve your peace is an act of self-love. This person may not realize the impact their actions have on you, but that doesn't diminish the truth of what you feel. Your pain is real, and ignoring it only perpetuates the cycle of confusion. Don't be swayed by the idea that the situation can get better with time. Change only happens when there is a genuine desire to commit. If that person does not show this desire, you are merely deceiving yourself. Reality must be faced head-on. Love should be a source of growth, not stagnation. If you feel like you are always chasing after, that is not love. It is a burden. The emotional weight you carry is not a sign of affection, but of dependency. This dependency is harmful and needs to be recognized. It is time to break this cycle. The breakup is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter. No one should live in uncertainty. You should not be a spectator of your own life, waiting for someone to decide whether or not to commit. The control of your happiness should be in your hands. Clarity is a right, not a privilege. You deserve a love that respects and values you. If this is not present, it needs to be evaluated. Do not settle for less. The decision to change needs to be made with courage. You are not alone on this journey. There is a world beyond the confusion, and it is waiting for you. Reality has already been presented, and now it is your turn to act. If you do nothing, nothing will change, and you deserve more than that. The situation repeats because you allow it. Every time you accept the lack of commitment, you reinforce the idea that this is acceptable. What you consider love is nothing more than a cycle of unmet expectations. It is necessary to face reality. You are perpetuating what does not serve you. What happens when you ignore the signs? You become a hostage to a pattern that does not bring joy. The emotional wear becomes part of your routine while clarity fades away. You wonder if you are being too demanding, but the truth is that your standards are necessary. You deserve more than crumbs of attention. The presence of someone should not be negotiable. If you constantly find yourself seeking validation, it's time to question the fundamentals of this relationship. You shouldn't be responsible for keeping the flame of affection alive. Love should flow naturally, without disproportionate effort. This relationship is not a reflection of your worth. If you need to strive to be recognized, that is already a sign that something is wrong. True love doesn't require you to prove your worth. If this person doesn't commit, you are merely deceiving yourself. The lack of action is a clear decision, and you need to acknowledge it. What happens when you decide to stay in a place of uncertainty? You distance yourself from your essence. Every day that goes by without a clear decision is a day that you move further away from your happiness. Time doesn't heal, it merely prolongs the suffering. Action is necessary. There's no room for interpretation in a healthy relationship. If you find yourself deciphering behaviors and words, that's a red flag. Love should be straightforward, without ambiguities. Clarity is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You shouldn't live in a guessing game. It's crucial to understand that emotional dependency is not love. You shouldn't feel trapped with someone who doesn't share the same willingness to invest in the relationship. This dependency is a burden that prevents you from growing. You must be able to break free from this. Every time you accept what's not enough, you are feeding a destructive cycle. Unfulfilled promises are not just failures, they indicate disinterest. Allowing this to continue is a choice you make daily. Love should be a space of mutual growth, not an emotional battlefield. The lack of commitment is a choice, and it must be recognized. You are not here to conform to low standards. Love must be a mutual and conscious choice, where both are willing to invest. If you realize this isn't happening, it's time to take action. Don't let yourself be swayed by the hope that things can change. Change only occurs when there is genuine commitment. If that will is not present, you are just fooling yourself. The reality is clear. You deserve a relationship that values you, that respects you. Confusion should not be part of the equation. Every time you ask yourself if you're making the right choice, you already know that the answer is not in doubt. The answer is in the clarity that you deserve to be treated with respect. Lack of clarity is not a passing phase. It is a structure that does not support a healthy bond. You need to have the courage to break this cycle. Uncertainty is not a sign of love. It is a sign of control. You should not be a puppet in the hands of someone who does not commit. If you are always waiting for a change that never comes, it is time to reassess your position. Every day you remain in this state of uncertainty is a day you distance yourself from your own happiness. Love should not be a burden. The decision to stay in a dysfunctional relationship is yours, and that choice needs to be analyzed. What truly brings peace to your life? What is essential for your happiness? Love should not be a game where you need to compete for attention and affection. If you realize that you are always running after it, that's already a clear sign. Love should be a mutual exchange, not a unilateral effort. If you need to strive to be loved, that is not love, it is a burden. It's time to recognize this and act. Cutting ties with what does not serve your peace is an act of self-love. This person may not notice the impact their actions have on you, but that does not diminish the truth of what you feel. Your pain is real, and ignoring it only perpetuates the cycle of confusion. Do not let yourself be led by the idea that the situation can improve over time. Change only happens when there is a genuine desire to commit. If that person doesn't show this desire, you're just fooling yourself. Reality must be faced head-on. Clarity is a right, not a privilege. You deserve a love that respects and values you. If that is not present, it is necessary to evaluate the situation. Do not settle for less than you deserve. The decision to change needs to be made with courage. You should not live in uncertainty. The continuation of this pattern depends solely on you. The lack of clarity is unacceptable, and you must act in favor of what you truly desire. Reality has already been presented. Now it's your turn to decide. If you do nothing, nothing will change, and you deserve more than this. You need to face the facts without illusion. This relationship is not based on genuine love, but on a cycle of empty promises. This person's behavior does not show commitment, and that is undeniable. When someone truly cares, they don't leave room for doubt. What is happening is a dynamic of control. You are waiting for changes that do not come. This is a pattern sustained by your availability. With every new justification you accept, the situation perpetuates. The comfort of uncertainty is deceptive. What you consider normal is in fact a state of stagnation. Clarity must be part of any healthy relationship. If you constantly find yourself analyzing the other's behavior, that is already a sign that something is wrong. The responsibility for clear communication should not fall solely on you. Love should be an exchange, not a constant battle. You should not live in a cycle of uncertainties. Time will not resolve the lack of commitment. The feeling of insecurity you experience is the result of a lack of concrete actions. Each day you accept less than you deserve is a day that you move further away from your own happiness. It is a cycle that feeds on your willingness to stay. You must realize that remaining in a situation that does not bring satisfaction is a choice. True love is the one that brings peace, not confusion. What you are currently experiencing is a distortion of what should be a healthy relationship. You must be able to break free from this cycle. Emotional dependence is not love, and the confusion you feel is a clear sign that something is wrong. With each new unfulfilled promise, you move further away from your essence. What you consider love is nothing more than a series of unmet expectations. It's time to be honest with yourself. What do you really want? What brings you happiness? Emotional responsiveness should not be a constant struggle. If you find yourself trying to guess the other person's intentions, that in itself is a warning. Love should be clear, direct, and without ambiguity. You might question if you are being too demanding, but your standards are valid. It's not about being harsh, it's about being clear about what you want. If you don't set boundaries, the other person will continue to cross them. Love should be a mutual and conscious choice, where both are willing to invest in each other. The lack of clarity is a choice, and it needs to be acknowledged. You deserve a relationship that respects your boundaries. Remember that vulnerability should be a choice, not an obligation. If you constantly feel on the defensive, that relationship is not safe. Love should not be a game. If you need to compete for attention or affection, take notice. The other person's constant presence should be a norm, not an exception. If you find yourself seeking validation, it is time to reevaluate the foundations of this relationship. You should not be responsible for keeping the flame of affection burning. Emotional dependence is harmful and needs to be acknowledged. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you are feeding a destructive cycle. What you consider love should not require you to prove your worth. Lack of action is a clear decision. If this person is not committing, you need to recognize that you are deceiving yourself. Reality must be faced head-on. Change only happens when there is a genuine desire to commit. If that desire is not present, you are merely fooling yourself. The continuation of this pattern depends on you. Lack of clarity is not acceptable, and you must act for what you truly want. The decision is in your hands. Before you leave, do two things now. Take a deep breath and hold on to what touched your heart today. And, if it makes sense, share this story with someone who also needs to hear it.